Yo, what's going on, buddy? This is Don't Talk Sports. My name is Dylan. In today's video, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be ranking my top 5 hardest sports to play. Now, I thought about doing this video and I kind of wanted to do it, and I know I'm going to get some critique or some criticism from all you in the comments. Basically, just like a fun little video to kind of do and kind of rank the top 5 hardest sports in my opinion to play. Now, obviously, everybody's going to have their own opinion. There's a whole bunch of sports out there. There's cricket, there's baseball, there's football, there's basketball, there's hockey, there's fishing, there's golf. There's all these different sports you can play. And like I said, there's a lot of sports that I did not name, but I'm going to kind of go in through and give my 5 hardest sports to play in order, 5 being the least hardest of the 5, 1 being the most hardest of the 5. And like I said, you're more than welcome to disagree with me, but this is just my preference. What I'm going to be ranking these on is a couple of different things: physicality, how hard it is just in general to play, mentality of like how much does the mind impact the game. So like I said, this is going to be my list, so if you disagree, that's your opinion, but we're going to get straight into this. So if you're going to enjoy it, as always, make sure you go and drop a like on today's video. Be very much appreciated if you do so. But without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, coming in number 5, I'm going to have gymnastics. Gymnastics is one of those sports where it's like you have to have just like the most, you have to have athleticism, you got to have strength, you got to have core muscles, you got to be able to do a lot of different things with gymnastics. Now, if you do gymnastics and you think it's so easy, that's because you probably trained for how long to be able to do it. If you train since you were a kid, like 4 years old, that can explain some things. If the sport cannot be just, you can't just jump into it and do it with ease, then it's not an easy sport. And gymnastics can range from anything from parallel bars to beams to doing the pole vaults to doing backhand springs, all different sorts of tricks. And when I watch the people, whether it be a college meets, you can watch anywhere from kids doing it to the Olympics. Gymnastics is not an easy sport. The amount of time, the amount of effort, the amount of energy that you got to put into it to get to the top level, and even then you could possibly just become in last place in tournaments. It's a lot of work, and that's why I think it's one of those top 5 hardest sports. Coming in at number 4, I'm gonna have football. Football is one of those sports where it takes a lot of physicality, but it also, when you look at the quarterback's mind, the mentality is one of the most difficult things ever. With football, there's a lot of different positions you can play. Like I said, there's kicker, there's punter, offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, safety, corner, quarterback, running back, receiver, etc. There's a lot of different positions you can play, but with each of those positions, there's a lot of different things, from having to learn plays, learn assignments. It's not like just, hey, you're a linebacker, go out there and tackle a guy. There's a lot of different plays, a lot of different assignments you got to do. If you're a running back, you got to know what kind of plays, how's the offensive line going to be moving. If you're a receiver, what kind of, all the different routes you got to run, the physicality of being able to bend, contort, high point balls, run over somebody, embrace contact. And like I already said with the quarterback's mind, when they call a play, the saying of the play could take them a good 5 seconds to say the entire thing, even if they're speaking really fast. Sometimes it could take them almost 10 seconds if they're like trying to speak it quickly. Then you also have to count for a head coach or offensive coordinator, whatever, is telling them to play, and the mic is going to cough about 15 seconds. So then if they don't get the entire play call, then they have less than 15 seconds to go ahead, just tell the guys whatever, get a play out there. Then they have to go to the line of scrimmage, diagnose a defense, figure out what they're going to be doing. Is it zone? Is it man? Okay, can we do some motion? Okay, shit. Okay, so what are all my receivers' assignments? Where are they running? What's my running back going to do? Who's blocking? Who's coming? There's a lot of shit you got to deal with in football. And like I said, with football, quarterback's probably the hardest job to do, but you also have to look at all the different positions. Like I said, receivers have all the route trees they got to learn how to do, trying to do all the different things. Offensive line, defensive line. Imagine if you're an offensive lineman, and I realize most offensive linemen are pushing 300 plus pounds, but imagine another dude 250 plus pounds, maybe 300 pounds, and they're trying to push against you. You got to have the strength, the endurance. You're always training. You're always getting your body right, trying to make sure you can withstand that contact, the blows, the bruising every single Sunday, sometimes Monday, sometimes Thursday, depending on when you play the game. Football is one of those sports that some people will say, oh, it's not a hard sport. I played it as a kid. Yeah, you might have played it as a kid, but as you get older, it's one of those sports where you can't just jump into it. You put those pads on, you put that helmet on, you might think, oh, I'm protected now. I got pads on. I've seen former players, I think Jordan Mailata, the Philadelphia Eagles offensive lineman, he said, you might think those pads and the helmet's helping you. It's just making it hurt more. Coming in at number 3, we have ice hockey. Now, I've seen some people actually making this top 5 list, and people are saying hockey should be number 1. I disagree because there are 2 more sports ahead of this. Hockey is a tough sport, though. Let's look at the basics of hockey. You have to know how to skate. Skating is a very difficult thing for some people. And not only do you have to just know how to skate, but you got to know how to stop at a dime, cut. Sometimes you're getting ran over by some guys. One of the most difficult things to do in sports is trying to take that hockey stick and take a puck that is no bigger than maybe like the size of a small TV remote. And you got to be able to control that thing while you're skating, while other people are skating up against you, trying to hit you, push you down, trying to take the puck away from you. And you got to be able to control that puck. And then you have to try to score into a net that is no bigger sometimes than the goalie itself. I believe a goalie net is somewhere like 5 to 6 feet, sometimes shorter or smaller, depending on like what, I guess you could say, college, pros, high school, etc., whatever league you play in. And sometimes these guys, they make it look easy within the league, but there's a lot of times where you watch the game and they will score maybe a goal. It'll be like a 1-0 game, maybe sometimes 2-1 games, and a lot lot of times they go to overtime, shootouts, and it's not an easy thing. You see these goalies, and sometimes I wonder with these goalies, they could possibly just sit back and stay up against the net, and it's going to make it almost impossible to get a goal in there because they can then just take the blows if they're willing to take the hits. And you try being a goalie, you up there, you're trying to stop the puck, you got gloves on, you're trying to catch the ball, catch the puck. Then you have to worry about if they're going to just shoot it, are they going to even try to aim to get it around you, are they going to just try to hit you in the face, hit you in the chest. And I realize you have some padding on, but it's still going to hurt like a bitch. Hockey takes mentality because you have to know how to get around guys, where they're going, how you can kind of maneuver and try to shift the positioning of the different players, get around some guys. And then there's also different ways of how you play the game. There's offense and defense. So there could be times where maybe your best player is a defender, but they can't help anything when it comes to offense. They're just got to sit back. And the one last thing that kind of makes hockey difficult, at random times, you might get thrown into a fight. Within a hockey match, if you piss somebody off, they might decide to just drop the gloves, throw their stick down, and they just might decide to start throwing hands. And the refs will not break up the fight. Hockey is a tough-ass sport, and that's why it makes my number 3 on the list. Coming in at number 2, I have tennis. Tennis shouldn't have to be explained too much other than you look at the size of that tiny little tennis ball, and the guys, when they're serving that ball up, going about 100 miles an hour, and you try getting in front of that thing. Hitting the ball close to 100 miles per hour, you gotta try to stop the ball. Matches can go anywhere from, like, maybe depending on how good or bad you are, can go anywhere from, I believe, like 45 minutes to upwards of like 2 hours. If yourself are really good and the other player you're playing sucks, you could possibly get the game over in like 45 minutes to an hour. If you are really bad and the other player's really good, you might get swept out of there in about half an hour tops. The physical endurance is tough because, like I said, the match can go upwards of like 2 hours depending on how competitive the two players are. They're running around. You got to keep up with the ball. You got to have the strength of when the ball's coming at you upwards of like 80 to 120 miles per hour to swing that ball back. And even whenever you hit the ball back, then you're running up, back, left, right. Sometimes you're running in opposite directions, trying to swing over your back. There's a lot of different things that goes into tennis. And then with the mentality, you have to worry about, okay, where are they going to hit the ball? They're going to hit it this way. Whenever you hit the ball back, are they going to hit to my left, hit it to my right? And with the way the speed is going with that ball, you got to almost like go before they even hit the ball to try to get a head start on it. And if you get a head start and you start going left, but the ball was going right, then you're already off your course. Then you're trying to leap back, get it to smack the ball back. And sometimes you might end up hitting the net and then you're just getting in your own head. It's a lot to go on in tennis. And believe me, I've tried tennis in my life and I did not do good. Tennis is one of those sports that I think if you're going to play it, some people play it for fun, but then other times you watch people who say they play it for fun and they're out there trying too hard. And coming in number 1, baseball. Baseball I shouldn't have to explain this one other than the number 1 hardest fucking thing to do in all of sports. Hitting the baseball. Hitting the baseball seems near impossible. The fact that in baseball, a baseball player that averages a batting average of like 250, meaning out of every 100 at-bats, they only hit the ball maybe 25 times, and that can consider you elite of the elite in the baseball world. That should tell you something. Now, we've seen players average like a 300 batting average. Those are the GOATs of baseball. Hell, even if you average like a 180 to a 220 batting average, that can still be considered pretty damn good baseball player. Now, discussing the rest of the sport of baseball, there's a lot of different things that goes into it. Outfield and infield kind of lay off of the ball. If you're in the infield, the ball gets hit, can come off the bat upwards of like 120 miles per hour, depending on how strong the batter is. And if it gets hit straight towards you, you got to have the reflexes to react, get your hit glove up. You could possibly get popped in the chest. If you're a pitcher, there's a lot of different things that goes into reflexes of if you're pitching the ball anywhere from 80 to 100 miles per hour, and that ball gets hit back to you at, like I said, 100 to 120 miles per hour. You gotta have the reflexes of sometimes that ball might hit you straight in the face. You watch baseball and you might think, oh, the infielders and the outfields, depending on if the pitcher has a really good pitcher, they're striking the guys out. They don't have to really move around much in the outfield or the infield. Maybe it's a pop fly. They don't really gotta move much. They just kind of run over, stand there, catch the ball. They're not moving around much. But in the reality, if you're out there, I played baseball growing up in Little League. There's a lot of moving around. There's a lot of, like, if you're in the outfield, you got to run around. You got to get the ball. And then sometimes if the runner's passing third, you got to run that sucker home, throw it all the way there on a line. As a catcher, the catcher is probably the second most difficult things in sports because you got to have the reflexes to keep on understanding where that ball's going. You might tell your pitcher, hey, I want a fastball high up inside corner. And the pitcher's going to say, okay, he's going to go throw it. But he might be a little bit inaccurate with his pitching and he might go to throw the ball, but it's going to be down inside and not up inside. And it's still going to be a fastball, but you got to have the reflexes to where you have your glove ready there, but you're going to have to get your hand down quickly and make sure you grab that ball. Kind of going 2 and 2 with the batters and the pitchers. Like I say, with the batter, hitting the ball is probably one of the most difficult things because, like with the pitcher, they have probably the second most difficult job or third most difficult job in baseball. Like I said, the catcher probably has the second most difficult job. The pitcher has the third most difficult job, actually pitching the ball. And they can have a whole bunch of different pitches. And you might think, well, back in the day, well, that's not now. Nowadays, with the way pitching is, people look at baseball and they just think, oh, just throw the ball by them. Come on, you can do it. Strike them out. These days, there's a lot of different pitches. Obviously, you have your 4-seam or fastball, which is just throw it as hard as you can. You have your 2-seam fastball, which can put a little bit of movement on the fastball. And then you start getting into all all your kind of breaking pitches, all your off speeds, your change ups, your curve balls, your sliders, your screw balls, all the knuckle balls. There's a lot of different like off speed pitches you can do. And let me tell you something, a fastball, that's one thing. If you can try to get the timing on how fast the guy pitches, you can try to time that sucker up and you can nuke that shit out of the park. But when it comes to like a curveball, a slider, like I said, a changeup, if that is a hard ass pitch to time. A curveball is probably the easiest of the off speed pitches to try to time up and be able to get under and just send that shit to the moon. But of the others, like I said, a slider, that shit can throw you off. A changeup, if you don't know it's coming, or maybe it's a pitcher that's like they don't really use it much and they could just pull it out the right time, they could throw you off and they could make you look silly on national TV. And like I was saying at the beginning, a baseball, hitting the baseball is about yay big. You can see it right here. This thing, imagine this sucker coming at you about 100 miles an hour. And sometimes with baseball players, they say sometimes they're trying to watch the movement. They're trying to see the way it comes out of the pitcher's hand, see what they're holding. Are they holding it up? Are they got a full hand? Are they got any movement with their fingers? How are they holding the baseball? And that right there can give them a little bit of a tell to say, okay, that's a fastball. I'm ready. Is that a curveball? I can kind of sit. Is it a changeup? I'm going to sit hard. But I truly believe baseball is probably the hardest sport in the world because of that one reason. Hitting the baseball is the most difficult fucking thing ever. Because like I said, a fastball can come in, and even at that, you good luck trying to hit 100 miles per hour baseball. And sometimes I think the stat line was it's about like 0.25 or 0.3 seconds to react to hit the ball when it's coming at you. And then imagine all of a sudden you get used to that, and then all of a sudden here comes a slider where it's coming in directly on the plate, and then at last second it just swerves right off the plate and you look like an idiot swinging at it. I don't know about y'all, but that baseball is tough as shit to play. But other than that, I think I'm gonna wrap it up there. That's been my top 5 most difficult sports to play. Like I said, these are my opinion of the top 5 sports. If you disagree with them, that is your opinion. But I'm gonna wrap it up there. Hopefully you guys did go and enjoy today's video. If you did enjoy, as always, make sure you drop a like on today's video. Be very much appreciated if you do so. If you wanted to watch the entirety of today's video, thank you very much. And like I said, if you have a different opinion, if you think a certain sport should not be number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if you think a different sport should be up there, if you disagree with the entire list, let me know your complete opinion down in the comment section down below. Be more than welcome to talk about with you guys. If you're a fan of the content that I do post here and you want to go and hit that big red subscribe button, feel free to do so, and do not forget to hit that later notification bell to be notified second I post. But without further ado, this has been Dylan Talk Sports. Have a great day. Peace.